Hi, good morning. It's Jim from the maverickstar Observatory, guys. Have you seen the jet streams on our Earth right now? It is spiraling up from the equatorial region all the way up to the polar region. We've got some cyclic events taking place right now over Antarctic, and I've never seen anything like it. Before we get into it, I want to say big thanks to those that are supporting the observatory. You know, we're trying to inform people of what's going on, and sometimes it's not easy. I know a lot of you have busy lives. You get up, you go to work, like most of us. You know, you've got a busy life with not just work, but when you come home, and you know, you tend to be a little bit complacent because of, you know, how much activity you've got in your day. And it's not your fault, guys, but at the same time, you know, you're keeping yourselves busy. Something else is happening in the background, and it's like the lights are dimming slowly and slowly and slowly, and it's going to lead to a big event. And there is, without a doubt, an event on the horizon that we're all going to have to go through, and it isn't going to be, you know, a happy ending at the end of that, because none of this that we're seeing, you know, as it all declines, is in a positive manner. You know, it's something we've got no control over. You know, nature's in control, and it seems like it wants to shove us to the side, and it's doing a good job at that at this moment. And you know, the repercussions of what we're seeing is yet to be felt further down that road. Just look at this. What we're looking at is a spiraling effect which is reaching up from the equatorial region of our Earth, one continuous jet stream which is spiraling all round the northern hemisphere right up to the Arctic regions. I'm going to go over to temperature so you get an idea of what's happening. So in that cyclical event all over the northern hemisphere, you can see there's a lot of sub-zero temperatures. We'll just have a little look over the equatorial region, and we'll spin it round so that you get a good impression. And just look at how low those sub-zero temperatures are reaching, right down into China. And then we'll have a quick look over the Antarctic, and we'll just go back over to the jet streams over the Antarctic. And you can see when we swap it over to temperature that in the center of these cyclical jet streams, we can see that it is sub-zero temperatures. What this is doing is delivering a lot of precipitation. What we've got is the jet streams coming off the equatorial region straight over the subtropics and filtering its way back up over the Antarctic. But what it is actually doing is delivering a lot of warm, moist air over these colder regions, and when the two collide, cold and hot, what we get is a lot of precipitation. And water is probably the most corrosive element we have on our planet. It'll wear away anything over time, and it will cause destruction. And we're seeing this right now over the United Kingdom with, you know, the roads just deteriorating. There isn't a road I've been on over the last few days that hasn't had, you know, a couple of potholes, and some of them are severe. You drive your car over these potholes, it's a wonder you don't smash your wheels to bits. I mean, they're that bad. The infrastructure right now in the UK is suffering from, you know, a lot of precipitation and sub-zero temperatures. When it goes down cold, it breaks the tarmac up on the roads and cracks it, and then leaves it, you know, when the traffic goes over it, leaves it, you know, porous. And of course, the car tyres just tear up the, you know, the conglomerate of stone, and it wears it into a pothole basically. And that's what we're getting. And it's on virtually every road. The infrastructure's got to be repaired at a cost of, I haven't got a clue, but it's going to cost. And this is because of the weather that we're having. This is just one of the little elements in our lives that is changing right now as a result of what we're seeing happen with the climate. And of course, water is the most corrosive element on our planet, and it is being hindered by the fact that we've got cosmic rays in our upper atmosphere smashing into the atmospheric particles. And as a result of that, it's creating a seeding platform for more precipitation to form. And of course, the precipitation ends up in the jet stream. And then, in turn, the jet streams move around our Earth, and they will drop, in some cases, a lot of water, in some cases, a lot of ice and snow, as we're seeing. And as a result of that, it will change our seasonal growing agricultural lands. And every civilization in our history has always been dependent on those seasonal cropping times, where we've been able to put crops in the ground, get them out, and feed the numbers of population. And when we no longer are able to feed those populations, society collapses. We've seen this happen many times in history. And that's probably why it has been such a focal point in our ancestral cultures. The Egyptians made a lot of structures so that they could tell the time of the year. They would know when the seasons were ready for getting crops in the ground, and when to take them out, and when to save up some food during a harvest time, and put it up and get yourself through the winter, sort of thing. And we're back here now, guys. There's nothing any different. The only difference is that we are complacent in the fact that we rely so much on technology. We think we can sail through it without any problems. It's not going to be the case, because the technological advancement that we've got is very, very fragile. There's a lot of things that can threaten it, and one of the major things that can threaten it is a weakened magnetosphere, and possibly a moderate X-class flare off the sun. Should that happen, it'll knock the whole grid down globally. Your phones won't work, your radios won't work, you'll go out to start your car, it won't start, and that's because the ECM will be fried, or the chips in your phone will be fried. Nothing will work. We can talk about this as though it's like a film that we're watching that's been built in Hollywood, but this is a reality which we face. And the risks are running higher as time goes on. We haven't reached an equilibrium yet of any of these things, and it is just literally a matter of time. But I will say this: when you get equatorial jet streams and subtropical which is reaching up over the subtropics and going straight up into the polar region, it isn't a good thing. This isn't a normal thing. Our jet streams are not supposed to look like this on this planet. We're supposed to have a subtropical jet stream at 60 degrees, a polar jet stream at 30 degrees, both over the northern hemisphere and over the southern hemisphere, and we do not have anything that looks like that. This is just a swirling mess of broken jet streams all over the planet. This is climate runaway chaos, and we have not reached the equilibrium as of yet, and that means things are going to get much worse. Mainstream media are not talking about the magnetic pole shift and how important it is to our planet, and they're not talking about grand solar minimum and how important that is to our solar system. But both of these things coincide with each other and probably multiply, because the two of them are in sync right now and are causing the same problem. More cosmic radiation, more cloud precipitation, extended broken jet streams all over the world. You can't help but think, guys, that And I know you guys don't like me to, bring up any religious topics, and I've had this all through my life. I never used to talk about religious stuff. I'll be fair with you, but you can't help it. I was at my parents today, and I said, "Has everybody slowly gone crazy in this world because of what they're interested in, what they talk about?" They seem to thrive on other people's negativity and downfalls, and there's someone that's crashed and burned, their lives fall to bits, and that seems to be the topic instead of focusing on some of the most positive things in life. It's crazy. You can't help but look at some of the text in that Bible and say, are we there? Remember, we was promised, according to that religious book, that in the end times, people will be corrupt and wicked. That will be the attitudes of the people in the end times. And you just look round and you can see how corrupt and wicked some people are, and you guys know it. This is not something new to any of us. We've seen this behaviour creeping in, getting worse and worse. And how much worse can it get? You listen to the radio and the news and you hear people being stabbed and the drugs and things like that. It's like overboiling, isn't it? And we're definitely there. We're in an alignment with what was said in that book. At the end times, this behaviour becomes more rife. Let's just go back earlier on in that book and see what it said about, Sodom and Gomorrah. Men were sleeping with men, women with women. There was wickedness and corruptness, thieving, all those terrible negative things, and the city was burned as a result of it, according to the story in the book. If we go back to Noah's floods, you will find that the synchronicity of events have always been the same, and we're back there right now, guys, and you can see it for your own selves. God said he'll destroy man with the earth. Could he have been saying he will destroy it with the nature of earth? Just incredible times, and when you know they're going to get worse, it's really, really shocking. Guys, I could show you 1,000 charts, but this is the only one you really need to pay attention to, and let's just eliminate the fact that it's got CO2 on here and just concentrate on temperature. We go back 400,000 years, look how thin the blue line is, which shows us temperature, and then go to the present day. Have a look how thick the lines are getting. This is like an increasing volume as it goes along time, and it is a warning, guys, without any doubt. What we're seeing is things getting louder and louder and louder. If we was looking at Richter scales on terms of earthquakes, at this point now, this earth would be shaking to bits. I know we're looking at temperature, but it doesn't make any difference. What it's showing us is that we are heading into severe times. And you can see how thick the blue lines are towards the recent time. This is just temperature, but this regulates everything on this planet. 400,000 years ago, things weren't as bad as what they are now with regards to our temperature, and we certainly didn't have the technology 10,000 years ago that we do today and enjoy today. But it is temperature that regulates where we can sustain ourselves on this planet. And if we go back into a major ice age, and this next ice age is going to be worse than the last 4 previous ice ages because of the volume of the increase in the skitter of those blue lines towards this most recent time. If you look at how long we have spent in an unusual warm period, 12,000 years, No wonder why all the CO2 has been released out the ocean and got to a point where it has, never recorded in the history of our planet. It's quite unusual anyhow to have temperature and CO2, to even be thinking about CO2. The only reason we've got CO2 on this chart is because we're aware of what CO2 is. Otherwise it wouldn't be there. You know, we could overlay lots of other elements and trace gases in our atmosphere right now, and I would say they'd probably be in the same ballpark of where CO2 is with regards to increasing. Temperature is a regulator for sure on our planet, and what we're seeing as time goes on from 400,000 years to the present day is something increasing in volume, and it's getting worse and worse and worse. It's deteriorating over the 400,000 years when we look at this chart, and we're at that point where we're about to drop off. Every time temperature has peaked, it has dropped off, and we've gone into a glacial period, and we're back there right now on the fringes of that, and nobody is prepared. No government is prepared in this world. I know we've got these classified deep underground military bases which have been stockpiled, but they're not for us, guys. Who are they? I don't even know who they're for. The rich elite? What they're going to do? Most of these people can't spell, write or read. How are they going to survive? Just because they've got money and they've got a few facilities, they're going to take slaves down there with them? Is it something that anyone would want in any case to go into a deep underground military base or one of these bases? Right? And are they going to be able to stay there for the duration of the next ice age on this planet? Where is going to be the habitable places on this earth? You know, our civilization began in the African regions. That is supposed to have been where we all started from. And, you know, I can see if we go back into another glacial period, that is where we're going to end. You know, it's a cycle, just like what we're seeing here. This is the 5th cycle, and we can see that whatever's coming next is going to be much worse than what we have experienced ever before. And it's like having a crystal ball, guys. You can see it clear as daylight. As this chart goes on through time, the volume increases towards the end, and that's what we've got to face. I'm going to leave it here. Guys, there's a link down there if you want to help support what we're doing at the Observatory. We are in the matter of building the muon detectors. We've had a couple of components delivered which weren't quite what we ordered, but I don't know if they'll give us a replacement part, so I've got to try and get in touch with the supplier just to make sure that that value of components is going to be doing the job that we want. I know for certain they don't look the same, but it could be a mistake, or it could be just, you know, an equivalent component. If it is, then we'll bang it on the board on the PCM and we'll get the muon detectors finished. It's as simple as that. We'll just like a fringe away from finishing them, and we'll get them in the field. But the link is down there, guys, if you want to help support what we do. You know, we are all at the door right now, and it is only a matter of time. It really is only a matter of time before, you know, we hear that, and at that point, you know, the game begins really for everyone. And I know it's hard to even fathom in your head, you know, what we're going to expect and how we're going to cope and this, that and the other, but it's going to come like a shock to everybody at that point. You know, think of it like this. Those people in Chile a few years ago when we had that major earthquake over there wasn't aware moments before what was about to happen. Moments later, everything had fell to bits. People that had a routine in their life had suddenly got to a point in their life where everything had fell literally completely to parts and pieces all around them, and we're all vulnerable to that. You know, just remember that. If you've got a little bug out bag or you've got some supplies, you're going to be a lot richer off for having that at a time like that. And you know, you hear it on other channels. Do a little bit of preparing, you know, get yourself some equipment together. It's an insurance policy which is going to take care of you in times like that. Okay guys, I'll leave it here, links down there. As always, I'll say have a great day and bye for now.